It's time to get sexy on Secular Sexuality.
Hello and welcome to Season 6, Episode 22 of Secular Sexuality, May 30th, 2019. I am your host, Serafina Smith, and my guest today is the wonderful Bri Jenkins.
No, it's Bri.
It's just Bri.
We told you, Bri. I'm
Just
the only
Bri.
one I'm in trouble.
Yes. Just Bri, I apologize.
Thank you. It's okay. I got a little nervous at first. Like, what'd I do?
It's all right.
It's too early.
Bri, I did it right, is the development coordinator for OutYouth, and recently was on the board of Black Pride Austin. Got it.
Yeah.
I'm remembering things.
You're doing great.
Yeah. And so, we've invited her here to talk about her massive amounts of excellent viewpoints on varied topics. I'm afraid Jenna couldn't make it, so you just got me.
I'm excited. Does that count?
Yeah.
What if I'm happy?
It is absolutely.
Had a lovely time so far.
Definitely counts. Feel free to call in, please. We urge you to reach out to us with any topics you want to discuss or any problems that you feel like we could help you with. Our number, as always, is 512-686-0279. 512-686-0279. It's on your screen. Please give us a call. So, why don't you introduce yourself for us, Bri?
Well, first, thanks for having me. I'm so excited. We've had such a great time already. I'm the development coordinator at OutYouth. OutYouth is a 29-year-old Austin-based nonprofit. We were founded in 1990 by two UT social work students who saw there was an influx in suicide rates for youth who didn't have a place to go and build community. So we originally started meeting in libraries and living rooms across Austin, and now we've been in the little blue 1,800 square foot bungalow that we're in over on 49th and a Half Street, where we service LGBT youth 12 to 23 and their families, their allies, all those kind of folks that are in their life, helping them make it better. Services include clinical services. We do affordable therapy. We do groups for parents. We have a partnership with the Kind Clinic with their trans wellness program. So anyone going to them for hormone treatment can come to us for case management, which can include finding a safe place to live and work, helping them change their gender markers and their IDs. And then we open our center 3 nights a week, and that's a time for the youth to just come in and hang out with each other. They have access to our LGBT library, which is the largest privately owned LGBT library in the state of Texas.
Wow.
We also have a cyber center that has 5 Macs, so our youth can edit videos, create art. We have a clothing closet. We have a hygiene closet, so if the youth need anything while they're there, they can just kind of take the stuff that they need. And then we are also in 10 schools around Austin, so if youth can't make it to our actual center, they get to have the ability to have OutYouth in their school schedules. They can have friendships, and that's overseen by clinicians that go into our schools every week. So,
Wow.
yeah, we're busy.
That is a whole host of
And I'm probably
services.
sure I forgot something still because I always do. But we're doing a lot, and it's been great. I've been there a little over a year now, and so I'm in charge of volunteer engagement, community engagement, and donor engagement. So if anyone wants to get involved, they contact me first. So, yeah.
That's awesome. Like, what sort of involvement would people be able to get into?
Right now, with it being summer and Pride being around the corner, a lot of people are doing fundraisers for us. So we have, there's a queer boat cruise coming up in a couple weeks, and so proceeds from that's coming to us. We have a lot of stores around the area who do in-store stuff for us. We went to Snooze last week. Snooze did 10% of their day's sales to us.
Oh, wow.
We've had Mandola's, they do a Pride cookie every year that proceeds come to us. So there's a couple different ways people get involved between doing cash donations. Austin Pride, Austin Black Pride, and the Q Austin did a clothing drive for us during youth prom season and collected a bunch of clothes for the youth to wear. So we have that's always there. There's a couple different ways between donating and volunteering to kind of get in where you fit in.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's been great.
Yeah, I know that OutYouth is kind of like a shining star of queer youth organizations. Like, I've when I was not living here, I heard about OutYouth and all the things that they do, and I was like part of like a gay and lesbian youth group in Dallas area, and they were just like sort of like hanging on, just like watching. It's like, what can we do that they're doing? Because they're doing it so well.
Yeah, we get a lot of people who contact us like, we're just starting out or we don't know what to do. So we say, like, if you ever want to know like what kind of programming we do, our youth development coordinator, his name's Adrian. He would love to like help y'all bounce ideas. But we're really here. We know we've served over 25,000 youth since we've been founded. We have youth here in Texas. We have a youth that's overseas right now in the Army. So last time we checked in, they were in Japan. And we have served youth in Australia. So we're kind of all over. We have youth who call us from LA, but we come up first on their Google search, which is so funny. Shout out to Catherine, who oversees our operations. Because I don't know what algorithm she did that we come up in California first. But they'll call us, like, there's a LGBT center down from your house, but we get that you're looking. So yeah, we're just kind of here for youth who maybe don't have anywhere else to go, or just need to get connected to a place where they can be themselves and find community. So if we can't help you, we'll try to get you connected to people who can.
That sounds really fulfilling.
I love it.
How did you get involved?
I first heard about OutYouth when I moved here in 2016. Mm-hmm. I didn't come out till that year when I moved here when I was 26.
That's quite a year to come out.
It was. I came out actually 2 weeks after the Pulse shooting. Mm-hmm. I'm a very emotional person, so I was very sad, but I also realized like I couldn't cry properly. And I realized it's because I was hiding a big thing from myself and my family. And so once I came out, it made a lot of sense that I had just been holding on to this for so long. So when I first came out, I just was, me being me, I was raised in a very religious family. So always taught to kind of give back and see what's out there. So I first heard about OutYouth that way. And at the time, I was working at United Way for Greater Austin. Mm-hmm. And then OutYouth had an opening. And so things just kind of lined up that the United Way job kind of went by the wayside. And I was able to apply for OutYouth, and I got it a week later. So the universe provides. So I've just been like, okay, whatever you tell me, I will be there and make it work. And so I've just been there ever since and loving every minute of it.
That's amazing.
Thank you. I sleep sometimes. That's what I tell people.
Sure you do.
Every now and then.
If someone wanted to get involved with OutYouth, like how would they get started on that?
Sure. So if you go to our website, outyouth.org, and you click in the upper corner, it says support us, and then there'll be a couple different options from donate to volunteer to host a fundraiser. There's a couple different things listed there. And then my email's on the website as well, underneath all that stuff. And then if you go to like upcoming events, it'll talk about stuff that's coming up that we're always looking for volunteers at as well. And we always have an updated volunteer opportunities list up there as well. So I always tell people if it's something up there that if there's something you want to do that's not up there, there we go. To send me an email, we can kind of make anything happen. We've had companies who come and reorganize our garage for us or come and help us like get we do Take My Hand Texas buttons, which are like these really cute little buttons that have the trans flag in a hand, letting people know that if you need someone to go to the bathroom with you, we'll go with you. So we have people come and put them on little cards that they go on. So, yeah.
Sorry, a little bit teary about that.
You're fine.
Sorry.
You're fine. Yeah. So we have volunteers who come and get that set up for us too. So there's always some sort of thing that someone can do at all times. So if it's just because it's not up there doesn't mean it doesn't exist. So it might be I just need to hear from you to think about it because, like I said, I'm overseeing a lot of things. So my brain is always always in different parameters. But yeah, and there's literally the sky's the limit whenever you reach out to us. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, we've got a couple calls on the line. You wanna field a call and see what how we can help somebody?
Sure.
All right. So we are going to go ahead and take a call from Giovanni in Florida. Giovanni is on this line. Giovanni, you're on the air.
Okay, I'm a little bit nervous.
That's okay. We do not bite. We're very friendly.
Being this is secular sexuality, I don't know how to interpret that.
we don't bite without consent.
Yes.
Very big into consent here.
Okay.
How can I help you? What do you want to talk about?
Yes, I called the Atheist Experience recently, and I spoke to a crew member, and they said I had disclose something, and they said that it'll be a very good topic for secular sexuality, and something he hasn't heard of, nor has you have. And it's, I have a fetish where I want to sleep with an atheist.
It's an interesting fetish. It is new to me, I will admit. Can you tell us about that? You don't have to get into gritty details, but, you know.
I don't know why. Just for many years, I don't know why that's fantasy or desire that I have. I'm a believer, by the way, in case that makes a difference.
Well, yeah, I figured with wanting to sleep with an atheist, it'd probably be pretty easy if you were one. So what is the draw for you?
I'm sorry?
What draws you to the idea of sleeping with someone who doesn't have a God belief?
Well, you know, maybe I'm trying to psychoanalyze myself. Maybe it has something to do with the fact that maybe it's like something forbidden, because since I'm a Christian, supposedly I'm not supposed to have, you know, those desires or whatnot. It's just like, I guess maybe somebody fantasizing about a Christian fantasizing about sleeping with the devil. That's a female, you know, if it's a heterosexual male. So that's the only thing that I can think of that it might have something to do with that.
Yeah, the sense of the forbidden enters into a lot of fetishes.
Maybe because it's a taboo, and maybe it's not something that society doesn't view as, you know, especially the Christian community. Maybe they look down on that, you know, me having that sort of fetish or sort of desire towards somebody that's a non-believer. Maybe that's why I have, you know, that fetish. And I coined that term, an atheist file. I guess that's what I'm considered to be.
All right. I mean, a lot of our fetishes come from sort of a way of expressing just what our thoughts about what is forbidden. You know, they just sort of bubble up from underneath what is acceptable. So you know, it makes sense. Do you have any
Sure. Can I ask how you identify sexually?
Oh, like what's my sexual orientation?
Yeah.
I'm a heterosexual male.
Okay. I like you were just saying, it might just be that urge to kind of do something that's forbidden. Me growing up very religious, and now I sleep with all genders, I totally get that of like, maybe it's this thing of like, for so long you were taught that you have to have this one certain idea of what sex is supposed to look like or who you're supposed to be attracted to. And so now this is just something else that's coming into your brain. And so it's this thing of pushing the envelope, if you will. Mm-hmm. Also, as a person who no longer identifies with any sort of religion, I think it's just this way of really taking back our own sense of ownership over our brains and how we identify and who we find attractive and who we want to spend time with. And so I think it's just this thing of like you're psychologically working through something, like you were just saying, of wondering why this is happening and, you know, should I act on it? Should I just leave it where it is? And so I'm like, I'm a believer in like, if trying anything once, I mean, that's me. That's how. But that's also I've gotten to my most happiest and genuine self is just, you know, this is the one life you have, and if it's, you know, with you being a believer, you can always repent and ask for forgiveness. But it's this thing of like, I'm a believer, and like it's easier to ask for forgiveness than permission. So like, maybe I'm not the person to be asking, but I mean, in my many years of 29, learning to do things and just kind of learning that experiences don't define us, but the things that we don't do define us even more. And that's the sense of always wondering. And I'm a person who just rather know than not know. So I don't know if that's helpful, but that's kind of how I'm seeing it right now. I always think that, too, religion is an easy way to kind of separate us, another layer of that. And so I'm like, why limit yourself in something that you believe that the other person doesn't believe? So I'm like, you know, life's too short. Mm-hmm.
Right, I see what you're saying. And by the way, I would like to disclose I have Asperger's in case that's relevant. I don't know if you think that's relevant or not.
Nah.
I mean, if you want to talk about it, you can, but it's not.
You're familiar with autism and Asperger's syndrome, right?
Yeah.
Most definitely.
So I don't know if there's a correlation or not, because every time that I do something that's strange or abnormal, the most probable scenario is that it has something to do with the Asperger's syndrome, but not necessarily because, quote, normal people do strange and weird things all the time. So it's
true.
I was going to say the same thing. Yeah.
It's the most likely reason, but it's not definitive.
Yeah. But like you're saying, like this is, I don't want this to sound insensitive, but it's like adding another label of trying to define you. Like you are a person with Asperger's. Does that make sense? Like you are not your Asperger's. You are who you are. And so you're going to have the same experience of going through things that other people are going through too. So, I mean, I don't also want you to let that kind of stop you from living your life as well.
Oh, okay. I don't know if any callers, if there's any volunteers or not. I'd like to arrange this with me, or would like to volunteer.
I don't know.
I do not know that answer, but I mean,
couldn't tell you. But I mean, feel free to hang out in the ACA Facebook, and maybe someone will offer themselves. I don't know. You never know.
You never know.
So like a inter-religious mingle, or like Christian/atheist mingle, or something like
that.
Yeah. Non-Christian mingle? I don't know.
Non-Christian mingle.
I will guarantee you one thing. I won't make her believe in God, but I will make her scream God.
Okay.
All right.
We walked into that one.
Yeah.
That was us.
I should have realized that was coming. Thank you, Giovanni. Was there anything else you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, but I'll leave that for some other time. I just want to discuss this topic for today.
Sure.
We're here every week.
Thank you so much for having me. I felt very welcomed, and I feel comfortable calling the show again sometime in the future. I called the show blindly because I wanted to take that interesting approach, but I'll watch the episodes from now on YouTube. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for calling.
Have a great day.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye-bye. Seemed like a nice guy. Interesting topic.
Listen, also, 2019, shoot your shot. You just never know these days.
That is fair. We have a couple more calls on the line, so I'm going to go ahead and grab another one before we move on to talking about other stuff. Sure. So let's talk to Taryn. I may be mispronouncing your name, but you can correct me, in Washington. Taryn? Is it Taryn?
Yes, Taryn, T-E-R-E-N. It's short for Terrence, but I haven't had my legal name change or my transition yet, so anyway.
Well, it's nice to talk to you.
Oh, he can too. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I really love this show. Like, I called before to express my gratitude for everything this community has done for me. So, yeah. I just wanted to talk to you about the recent controversy with there was a Supreme Court case this week. I don't remember what it was, but it was the Alliance Defending Faith, a very conservative Christian right-wing law firm, was funding money into this Supreme Court case. So, but apparently it's really weird because we have a pretty conservative bench now with Kavanaugh on it and such. But it won in trans people's favor because now they're saying that it's not constitutional for school districts, this Pennsylvania school district, to ban, or discriminate against trans students that want to use the bathroom they identify with, So I just wanted to hear, what your thoughts were on that, especially, if that's a problem. I've heard that there's several bills right now going in through the Texas legislature that are very, transphobic, as far as, doctors are able to, deny health care based on their, quote, strongly held religious belief or whatever. What are your thoughts on that? It's fun to hear what you guys think and all that.
Well, thank you. Yeah, if I'm remembering the case you're talking about, right, the Supreme Court declined to hear the case. Is that right? I might be.
I thought I heard a headline yesterday on LGBTQ Nation that they won, the case went in favor of trans rights. So I thought it was. I don't remember what the ruling was, but it was something like that. It's not right to, I think they said the quote was it's not right to put a scarlet key on the heads of trans students just to ostracize them. I don't know. That's what I remember reading yesterday on the headlines. But what do you think about that? Is that an issue around in the Midwestern states or?
It's all the states.
Yeah, I mean, with me working at a organization that serves youth, we have a lot of youth that are obviously in high school, but we also live here in Austin, which is super liberal.
Yes.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, for sure, especially now with politics and the current administration, a lot of stuff being worked against the LGBT community as a whole. But it's also this thing of, I feel like we've really forgotten that we were supposed to be a separation of church and state sort of country. And
We do seem to forget that a lot,
I feel like
don't we?
that's been, so I'm hopeful just because I know a lot of people are fighting for this, and I know a lot of Texas ledge here has been really trying to highlight why this is unconstitutional and making sure that people have a voice who can't make it to the court to speak on their own behalf. I'm sorry. But yeah, I mean, I can't believe where we are right now, but I'm also not 100% shocked. And then we were planning on talking about this later too, but all this
segue we're going into.
Great.
Thank you.
All this stuff about, Trump and trying to do the separation of making sure that another level of people are marginalized. And so I think it's just us remembering that this country is our country and that the people we put into office work for us, especially on the local and state level. So, I mean, I'm not going to be that person on the soapbox that says make sure you're registered to vote, but also make sure you're registered to vote. Because, I mean, nothing's going to change if you don't say anything. So I'm an avid believer in that if you don't like something, you have the power to change it. So I think by you being, can I ask how old you are?
Huh?
How old are you?
Oh, I'm 18. I voted in the midterm, so trust me, I poured like all my hours into a campaign that was pro-trans because there was another candidate in my state, Vicky Pratt. I'm from Washington State, and she's she's our representative for our legislative district, and we lost by 0.01%, and I was like, I want her to win so badly because even though my candidate was a believer, she was pro-choice, pro-LGBTQA. I think she was universal Unitarian, so she was really liberal. And that aside, I just was yes, please, win, but she lost. But my district is very blue, or my state, nice. I should say. So I'm not concerned about that. Sure. I'm just,
Yeah, well, it's the thing. I can't remember the quote, but I think it's MLK who says if one of us is in danger, we're all in danger. So I think you caring on a whole is very important, especially with you being, I'm going to sound like I'm old, but so young. And I think everyone who's coming up right now who's super involved in paying attention to politics is so important. Because, I mean, at 18, I wasn't really super involved. The first president I voted for was Barack, though. So let's just take a moment. But yeah, like I said, I believe, getting involved in politics as much as you can and talking when you have the chance and using whatever platform you have and educating those around you who may not know that these things are even happening because not everyone's able to sit there and watch the news and take that information in constantly. So I think, that's all I can really say right now about this lovely time that we're living in, about just, not giving up and not feeling like you don't matter because you 100% do. And I applaud you for getting so involved in politics in your state and, in the area that affects you.
It is hard, isn't it?
This is just the beginning. I do not plan on stopping. Oh my goodness, I'm going to get... Anyway, but I've also heard a lot of people, I guess one last question because I know you want to get on to other callers, but I've heard a lot of trans people say that they were in politics after the 2016 election because their identity is so politicized. What do you have to say about that? Some people were so, impartial, I'll just vote, But then they started going to the rallies and they started getting into political culture of, the left and all that. And they say it's because they feel like it's they have to. They feel like if no one else does, then who else is? Because not a lot of allies are, there are allies, but they're saying that unless, somebody takes the helm, who will kind of idea. And also, do you think that the Trump administration being in power, this god-awful, presidency, is it unifying a lot of allies in a way because they're seeing that the transphobia, homophobia, just everything that's xenophobia, everything, just so much fear. Do they see that as something that's bringing everyone? There's a force to rise up against this. Is that kind of a trend you're seeing? Because I'm kind of seeing that to some degree. Before, all my friends were I don't give a shit about politics,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I for sure see that. especially like you're saying, like people who have never had to feel threatened before now 100% do. Like aside from LGBT rights, now you have all the abortion bans. You have when they were trying, now that Trump was working on passing through the legislation to get trans folks out of the Army. I mean, people in the Army who know these people. I think it's the thing of like, now that everything's becoming so personalized and so, everyone's relating on a human level and taking labels out of it. Like if you have a friend who is trans who serves in the Army, that's a person who serves in the Army that so now you feel some connection to it. I think it's opening space for conversation that we weren't having before, because for a long time, no one talked politics. It was like, it was cliche or whatever the word is. I can't think of it. Taboo. There we go. Yeah. To talk about politics or reproductive rights or anything of that. So I think for sure that now that they're trying to kind of weasel the way and get these things kind of done, I don't think they thought people would be paying so much attention, which has now kind of hit them. I for sure think that. And I think allies have learned that they can't just talk. They have to show up. They have to be willing to put down their bodies and be there with us and take up space and know that we can't defend ourselves when we're the one being attacked. We need you who are in a place of quote unquote power or in a better position than we are to fight on our behalf too. So I think it's been allies knowing that they kind of have a privilege in that sense of being able to take up space and get into rooms that maybe we can't get into to talk about those kind of things. So yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot harder to be apathetic when you or someone that you care about is suddenly on the line and you can't ignore that. It's obviously a shitty situation to be in the first place, but it has the silver lining, I guess, of mobilizing people.
Yeah, but I sometimes wish that, this was, a lot of my aunt is of course, she's very liberal too. She said this is kind of bringing all of the different, racist people or homophobic people out of the woodwork, so to speak, because there are a lot more, the MAGA hat movement and such is more vivid or more visible, I should say, and that this is kind of maybe the last wave of people like the older baby boomer generation that's still very attached to very, very conservative, extreme Christian views to the point, and now and a lot of my friends are like, oh, don't worry about it. They're going to die off eventually, this generation is woke and everything. I'm like, well, I don't know about that.
But like you're saying, they're putting that legislation in place now, so now it's going to take us, they might be doing this now that, they'll be gone soon, but then we're going to have to work from this place now and fix everything when they can just not put the stuff into effect now. So don't let them kind of get you to it's almost like someone who's like, I broke my arm, like, but you can go to the doctor, it'll be fixed. But yeah, but my arm still hurts. Like, that doesn't negate how you're feeling right now. So I totally get that too. But yeah, I think it's super important for us to keep talking and having these conversations and knowing that, sorry, cishet white men, but it might be time for you to take a seat because we're not going to take it anymore. So thanks.
Yeah, of course. And anyway, I could go on and on. Trust me,
Same.
I will definitely be calling back
Same.
to the podcast. I love this podcast so much. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Taryn. Really appreciate your call. And please, call us back, email us, sex@atheist-community.org. Let us know what's on your mind anytime.
Of course. I love you guys. Have a great one. I'm glad you guys can have time to get on to your next caller now.
Thanks you.
So much.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Oh, so exciting.
I know. Sweet little pressure.
I love young people who get really excited.
Keep caring. You matter. And also every vote does count. So people who say it doesn't, it does. And we can talk offline another day about that because it matters. Okay, I'm back. I'm back to being.
I used to be politically apathetic back in my younger days.
Your heyday.
Yeah, and it just can't be anymore. Just can't.
Too much on the line.
Yeah, and other people around me who, if they express that, which I remember feeling that way, all I can do is just all I can say, this is affecting me. I don't know if next year I'll be able to go to the public bathroom, So think about that and think about what it would be like if you dealt with that every day and, see if it might be important. Just saying.
It is.
Yeah, maybe. Just a bit.
Just a small amount, for sure.
We got a question from chat. Moral Dinsker, I don't know how that would be pronounced, asks, my brother said he wants to be a woman, but says he knows he's a boy. He has trouble talking about his feelings. Any idea how I can help? Oh, that's a lot to unpack from a small amount of information, but I can say that, there's a few things that this could be. I don't know how old your brother is, but when you're young, it's a time of, exploring yourself, exploring your gender. And that's when a lot of people discover their gender. And it's also a time when people, just try things out and then later, discover that they were just, a little gender variant and that was okay. To me, the best thing to do to help your sibling is to, be open, be open and be accepting so that they know that they can always come to you and always rely on you no matter what. And you don't have to pressure them into deciding, who or what they are. You don't have to do anything except to make them aware that you will support them no matter what they discover about themselves, and that you will be their ally. I don't know what the rest of your family situation is, but having one ally in a family situation can make all the difference, even if everyone else in the family is harshly against the things that you discover about yourself. So that's what I would say.
I would say, like you just said, support is so important. And even you just being able to sit there and listen to your sibling and let them know that you are going to support them, whatever this life looks like for them. And then also, like I said, check any resource that might be around. If there's a center or community around that talks to whatever age range their sibling is in, that they can find support out there too, I would offer that. Mm-hmm. Community is very important.
If they Google, they will find OutYouth.
First, probably.
In the first.
Number one is going to come up.
So if they're in Austin, that'll be great.
Yeah.
And if not, they can call, apparently, and get directed to a good resource. So that's another thing to do is let them be aware of the resources that they can access, who are going to be really happy to hear from someone and help them out. I can promise you that. These are people who are, they have a passion for helping, queer teens and youth in trouble or who might be struggling, then that's why they're doing what they do. So,
yeah.
So
we're here. And like we said, if you go to our website, there's a bunch of information there, outyouth.org. And if you don't live in Austin, we will do our best to try to connect with someone in your area that can help. But I think you're doing great just being able to sit there and listen and know that sometimes you might get it wrong, sometimes they might get it wrong. But it's okay to just keep trying and loving each other through this situation in this journey.
Yeah. So going off of what Taryn, segued us into.
Thanks, Taryn.
Appreciate it. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on.
So much stuff.
Legislation-wise. And I'm not sure why it's so sudden.
I think at this point, they're just... The election is around the corner. They're trying to really appeal to any supporters that they do have left. I feel like a lot of people have been moving out of the conservative windows as of late just because of so many things that are happening to people that are in their family. I think by this president being in office, it has really opened conversations for a lot of people to be brave enough to come out to conservative families to say, hey, you love me, then I need you to know this and know that, hey, if you don't accept those people, I'm connected to you. It's giving visibility to a situation that they might not have any idea of. It's easy to hate something you don't understand, but I think once it's in your face and it's someone that you know and love, it makes it a little more complicated. But so I think that's where a lot of this is coming from. People really starting to fight back. The men and people in office who are doing things that are so harmful, I think are people of privilege who don't understand that these things are really going to affect marginalized groups. It's this, I like to call it, it's called institutionalized racism, but I call it organized racism. It's you using the powers that you have to be able to do something so awful to people who you don't even know. From Trump to Trump and the trans legislation to now with the abortion bans. It's a lot of things about control. It's taking control of bodies that you shouldn't have control of. It's being able to, again, kind of stamp on the necks of the people who you're supposed to be serving and helping to make this country better, but better for who? So we can go on for hours talking about politics, especially as a queer person, and I use queer as a way to identify my sexuality. I'm attracted to all genders, but I have also decided that I probably do not want to carry a baby due to my family's extensive history of cancer in my family, and then my own reproductive journey of not be able to carry children. So it's this thing of like, especially with the abortion bans coming on right now, that if I got pregnant and that pregnancy threatened my life, that baby who's not even fully developed yet, it means more to someone who doesn't even know me than I do to people who I love. And so I have a lot of feelings about this abortion ban. I have a lot of feeling about all this trans legislation. My biggest saying the last couple of years, like, don't like it, don't look. Like, you don't have to sit here and do damaging stuff to people who you don't know or understand or interact with, but you can also just do the best you can and just leave me the heck alone and not be involved in my life. I'm not coming up to the White House telling you how to do your job. You can't come here and tell me how to live my life. But then let's also not negate the fact that these are really affecting people of color and women. You're now asking any person who get pregnant, because it's not just women who can get pregnant. Yeah. You're asking these people to now carry a child that they might not want or that they can't carry to full term because of health stuff. You're asking people who have been raped and assaulted and attacked to carry children that will be a constant reminder of these people. But then you're also going to belittle them for when they need assistance of this child who comes in the world that they didn't want, but you're not giving them assistance for. So what do you want from us? I that's been my biggest question lately of like, who is this for? What are you doing? Because you're not going to sit here and give me money to support a baby that I didn't want. So again, a very hot topic for me. I could talk about this for hours. So yeah, I cannot wait for the next election. To be honest, I think we have too many candidates right now for the Democratic Party, but that's a whole.
They'll narrow it down.
We'll whittle it down. But like I said, be sure you're registered to vote. Start looking up topics that you're passionate about. If there's something, and also that you don't know something, don't feel like you can't ask questions. I think conversations are how we grow and how we learn and how we change. And so if we want things to be different, we have to start working for it.
It's really interesting looking at the history of like the marriage of religion and especially conservative politics in America, specifically America, and how basically in the 70s, I think, maybe the early 80s, late 70s, the conservative Republican Party was just struggling to get the base of the evangelical Christians, and they found abortion as this amazing sort of unifying thing that suddenly became very much in the public eye. Like suddenly everyone was talking about it because the conservatives. Suddenly it was like the conservative right. The Christian right, and it was like an alliance, and then they've like held on to that through sticking with things like abortion and anti-gay, anti-trans, all sorts of stuff like that, little social things that a conservative party otherwise wouldn't necessarily care about.
Yep.
And if you look at different countries, they don't so much.
They don't.
And it's just a very uniquely American phenomenon. But if you don't look back at the history and look outside of America, you'd just think that, oh, well, naturally, that's exactly what they do.
And let's not forget that abortion is health care. But also we are in a country that doesn't have universal health care, which is not a mistake. The health care system here is very expensive and very lucrative. So if the United States had universal health care, we'd have lower taxes. People would be living better lives. There are ways that they're keeping structurally keeping marginalized people low, or what have you. So it's all these things in place that, every time AOC speaks, I'm obviously in awe, but it's the things that she's talking about because they don't want us to know this. They don't want us to be smart. They don't want us to fight back, but it's the thing of like, you have to educate yourself. You have to listen, and don't let people try to negate what you're saying. Like I have a friend back home who's a little bit more conservative. We had a whole conversation about socialism one day. Because he does not support AOC.
I don't imagine.
And he and I were talking back and forth, and he was like, I love when I talk to you because you're never trying to change my mind. You're just giving me facts of a conversation. Like, my job is not to change your mind, it's to give you another perspective. So I think that's the most important thing. Again, conversation changes so many things, but if we keep trying to argue, no one's listening. If you're yelling, you're not hearing me. You're just hearing the volume of my voice. So it's very important just to keep those windows of conversation open and being willing to accept another person's viewpoint. You don't have to agree with it, but you can respect and honor what they are saying.
Yeah. Oh, AOC.
Bless her.
Never had a crush on a politician before.
Let's not forget.
If you're seeing this, call me.
Oh my gosh, what is her name right now? The oldest Supreme Court lady.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
She can never die. I don't know what you have to do for her. Put her in a bubble. I don't know. Keep her safe. Long live Ruth. Please. In a bubble. I do not care. Make sure she's fed 3 times a day. Let her work out. Leave her alone. She's a saint.
Forever. The eternal Ruth Bader
Ruth forever. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a scary time to be queer in America.
And I think any sort of intersection that you cross.
Yeah.
If you're not a white cis man, no one is safe.
Yeah.
White, wealthy cis man.
Yeah, especially.
Then you're not safe.
The closer you are to that.
Yeah,
the safer you are.
But until you're there, no one is safe.
They'll find a way.
So, which I think is why Trump really appealed to a lot of people, because he was speaking to the people who were scared and not unwealthy, but not as well off, and giving them a chance to quote unquote see themselves. And so now they're like, oh crap, what did I do? And I'm like, honey, you didn't read between the lines. He was never on your side. So, I had a friend who voted for Trump who was like, Trump's for LGBT. I'm like, give it 2 months. Sure as crap, 2 months later, that's when all the trans bills started happening about, trying to take them out of the services. And I'm like, he roped y'all. It was fine. He catfished you. It's totally okay. We're gonna fix it, because all the marginalized groups always have to fix everything. So here we are to fix it again. But just stand out of our way and let us do it. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
We have a long history of turning marginalized groups against each other as best we can.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because if we're fighting with each other, we're not paying attention to the other things. And I have a friend here who doesn't use any labels to identify herself. She just uses her name for everything. No pronouns, no sexuality. She's like, I'm just me. This is what I do. And I think watching her really grow has been so impressive to me, because it's taking out those labels or those boxes. It's like, once we take like all that stuff away that the society has put us in, we are just people living our lives doing the best we can. And so it's like, you don't have to be one thing to support another thing, or be in that group to support a group. It's like, we are all human, doing the best that we can, trying to live the best life we can. So just, again, do no harm, but then also get out of my way if you're not going to help me.
Get out of my way.
Goodbye.
All right. We have another caller, but we do have open lines. So please, give us a call if you got anything to talk about or ask about. 512-686-0279. We would love to hear from you. We are going to go to Maury in Birmingham, and I will get it right this time with the button. Maury, you're on the air.
Hey, this is different. I've never called to an ACA show, but I usually watch your guys' stuff a lot. Like sexuality, talk keeping, atheist experience. So it's
that's
cool
awesome.
On here. Yeah.
Thanks for calling in. What do you want to talk about?
Well, I guess it kind of relates to the one question that was in chat. I was on hold before that, but that kind of reminded me of what I was talking about. But so I'm bisexual. I kind of recently realized that, but I like to dress up like a woman and do stuff like that. But I'm not transgender, and I feel like, but I was having a hard time understanding if I was transgender or if I just doing this, because I was like, all right, I'm straight, but then I went to okay, so I like guys and stuff like that, and then I went on to I like feeling pretty and I like dressing up. Do I feel like am I transgender, or am I so I just those type of feelings and stuff like that. But I feel like right now I like being a guy, but I also like to every once in a while dress up like a female and look pretty and stuff like that on my own time.
Sure.
And I was just wondering how you guys feel about that and just how I'm currently feeling and stuff like that. I don't know.
Sure.
Yeah, one of the big lies that our culture has sold us hook, line, and center is that certain types of clothing and behavior and expression are inherently gendered. And it's a big old lie. So, you can absolutely be 100%, macho guy and want to feel pretty and wear pretty things and express yourself in all sorts of ways that our culture has told us are feminine or female, because that's not inherently true in any way. So, it does not make you anything except someone who likes those things.
Right.
And, it can be an indicator. I'm not going to say that it's definitely not an indicator of some aspect of your sexuality or gender, because some people do start by thinking of those things, but it's not inherently that. You could absolutely be just someone who likes wearing pretty dresses and looking pretty, because it's great to look pretty.
Yeah, I work at a youth center, and so we always tell the youth that gender and sexuality are fluid, and they are not mutually exclusive. So you do not have to box yourself in either, like you were you were just saying. It's just self-expression, like you're saying. Clothes aren't gendered. It's just the way that we've been taught for so long that if you wear this, you are one thing. If you wear this, you're another. And so it's just that expression and finding out who you are, and figuring things out, which is totally fine. No one is gonna belittle you for that. I think you were in a place in your life that you have the ability to do that, then go for it. If you're not hurting anyone or yourself, you're just being the most honest version of yourself with yourself.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Yeah. And another thing also, which was, because how my feelings are a little muddled, so I said I like guys, right?
Right.
But what I really mean is I like dick, but I don't like men. It's weird. Guys throw me off. I like transgender women with penises. I like femboys who are really feminine and stuff like that. But I don't like macho men. I don't like beards. I don't like muscles. I don't like any of that. So that's another thing that kind of threw me off a little bit about how I was feeling. So
Yeah, I mean, you're attracted to what you're attracted to, and I mean, certainly our culture sexualizes femininity in any form as best it can. So it's our sexuality is often affected by the cultural context that we live in. But yeah, I mean, if you like getting dicked, then get dicked. It's great.
Fully support it.
Yeah, and being attracted to femininity is not unusual. It's a huge part of our culture. It's something shared by many people around you. And feel free to, continue to explore and question what you're attracted to and why, because that is always a good thing for growth and a good thing for self-discovery.
Yeah. Like I said, just keep figuring out, sorry, it's been a long day. Figure out what you like, what you don't like. That's the most beautiful thing about life, is that you can decide to do one thing one day and then a completely different one the next, and no one can make you feel bad about it because you've already learned to accept yourself. So, I mean, you're going to fall in love, you're going to feel someone up, someone's going to feel you up. Consent's important. And then, if you're not hurting anyone, no one's hurting you, then I say just live and let live.
Yeah, I think if there was just one thing that I would want to tell you, it's that, you're in a position of self-discovery that you're just primed for it right now with what you're talking about. And there's all sorts of things you could discover about yourself, and that is a beautiful gift to follow, to just keep following, because that's going to lead you to better self-knowledge. It's going to lead you to better sex. It's going to lead you to you, and that's amazing. So I'm very, very happy for you in that.
I appreciate it, guys. I don't really want to take up more of your time. Just wanted to kind of see what you had to say about that and how you felt. I really do like the show and everything, and I hope you guys keep, doing what you're doing and talking to people. It's been real nice.
Well, thank you very much.
Thanks for calling.
Yeah, it was great.
All right, goodbye.
Bye.
Take care. All right. Lines are still open. Feel free to call. Number's on your screen. I'm not going to repeat it again. I'll fumble this time. I just know I will.
You're doing great. It's Thursday. We're there.
Yeah. All right. So you.
Me.
You. You were until recently on the board of a very excellent local group.
Austin Black Pride.
Austin Black Pride. What can you tell me about that?
Sure. So I recently stepped down just because I'm doing a lot. And so talking to the president over there, Sheldon, who was great, decided that it was time that I take a step back. Still super involved. I love them. But I just wasn't able to give them the most time that I would have loved to do. But yeah, Austin Black Pride was founded, I believe, 2 or 3 years ago by queer Black people who live here in Austin. Austin has kind of depleted its black population. Mm-hmm. Austin is very white. And so it was just Austin Black Pride learning to take up space here in Austin. And they were really geared to hosting events for people of color who are queer. So they've been doing panels. They have a party called Drip Drop, which is really great. They're having a 90s throwback party coming up. They have a lot of stuff coming up for Pride. Last year they did an art exhibit. So they're very, they're trying to branch out of just being seen as a party. They really want to do educational stuff, let people know that they do panels specifically so people who usually won't be on panels have the chance to be on a panel and talk. So yeah, they're doing great stuff, and it's just mostly just, those two intersections of being a person of color and queer. As always, allies are welcome to all their events, but these events were made to give some space to people who move here and don't see themselves, move here and don't know anyone of color, and then just move here to open up some more conversation and get some more similar looking people in a room. So I love them. They're great, and I'm so sad I had to step down. But I plan on going to all their stuff this year, and it's super great. They're also doing like a lake trip too. And I'm like, Sheldon, this is great. Yeah, I'm super excited. And also, all their stuff can be found on their Facebook, their Instagram, and their website. So yeah,
awesome. Yeah, I first became aware of them, I guess, last year at Pride Month, when I do volunteer stuff with the place I work. So our local groups were just bringing in all sorts of events there for us to do volunteering at, and there was just such cool stuff. That's like by far the coolest stuff that was happening was Austin Black Pride stuff. And I was like, this is great.
yeah, it's always a really great time, and now they've become like official events during Austin Pride, which is super exciting. And so they're always looking for suggestions and ideas, and really open to letting people know that they're out there if you're looking for a place to kind of go and get in where you fit in, which is what I'm going to say all episode apparently. So yeah.
I mean, it's really impressive to me that we have such a vibrant group of that intersection of identities here in Austin, where we have shoved out.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was so funny being on the board of going to events and having people from Pflugerville and Round Rock come down. I'm like, well, welcome.
Yeah.
Come on in, party with us. It's great. So yeah, I mean, it's like it's just learning to make and take up space and build community, which I think is the most important thing, especially being in those intersections of marginalized groups, and just being like, this is cool. We're cool. It's cool. Being Black and queer is cool. Just want people to know. I'm going to be on that soapbox today too. So
excellent.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, stay on that soapbox. Tell me about the intersection there.
Ooh, so like I said before, I am a Black queer woman. Queer meaning that I date all genders. So being from Connecticut, living in Texas was a really big wake-up call when I moved here. Living in Austin is obviously a different bird.
Especially without the pizza.
Don't get me started. No pizza is better than New Haven pizza. Do not at me. Do not be in my comments. I will talk about this for days. But yeah, so moving here and, figuring out that I was queer and, I haven't dated a cis man since I moved here, which I don't really know why this happened. I mean, I kind of do, which we'll talk about later because...
Okay.
Get out of my inbox, cis men. We'll talk about this later. So yeah, just really figuring out who I am and, dating and learning those things. And then the last couple of years being really involved in politics and really learning how to take up space. Every year I focus on a word. Last year was my platform. That was perspective last year. And so learning how I look at things and how people might see me, and just being a person who really was okay with being in the spotlight. Obviously, I'm not a quiet person. So just being open to conversation and talking to people. And so with me being queer and Black and a woman, you know, just adding to those rungs of problems, quote unquote problems. But yeah, just really learning to love and accept myself, and, you know, invite people to do the same. Being from a very large family, growing up in Connecticut, which is a mecca of different cultures and heritages, but then also being very white, learning that, you know, me being who I am is beautiful and worthy and important. And so being able to share that message with other people too, which is kind of how we started the podcast that I'm also on. But yeah, just giving space and learning those things that matter. And, oh, look at that photo.
We'll talk more about that.
Yeah, we'll get there. But yeah, just really, really learning to, at 29, to just not give a care in the world about what other people think. And I think that's what a lot of being an awesome Black Pride taught me, was just, it's okay to be Black and queer. It's okay to have people who don't understand why this intersection matters, or why being in Austin and being Black and queer is a really big conversation. So,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, I owe a lot to them. It's been really great, you know, the time I served with them, and still being really connected with them and the work that they're doing.
I can only just vaguely imagine.
It's fun. It's so fun.
I mean, it's so important too. Yeah. I mean, just even if it is just like parties or anything, just like having that community when there's
making space. Yeah.
So much trying to not let you have space.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was doing some research of like Austin, maybe like 10, 15 years ago, had like a Black population of like between 40 and 60%, and now we're around 8. And so statistically, if a city ever falls below 10, it'll never recover properly. And so a lot of conversation around gentrification and, you know, these big corporations coming into town it's causing a lot of conversation. So again, politics, be involved and pay attention to what's going on in you know, in your city and things around you. So yeah.
Okay. Let's see. What else do we have here?
I mean, briefly talked about my pod. We can.
Oh, please.
Oh, yeah. So I'm on a podcast called Queer for It. Queer, the word for it. It's myself, my friend Christina, who is a Puerto Rican and Bolivian woman who has dreads, and she's great. Nice. My friend Chris, who is a trans man, and his twin sister Courtney, who is a lady gay, as she puts it. And so Chris and Courtney own a clothing line called Flaunt Streetwear, and Christina owns a clothing line that is geared towards big and tall men. And so we all met because they came and spoke at OutYouth last August during our queer entrepreneur panel, which we hosted for the youth. So we met in August. We've been friends ever since. And then we started the podcast in January, and it's just us meeting every other week at my kitchen table, super professional, and talking about different topics. And so we've talked about.
It's a nice table, though.
It's an IKEA black table. Let me tell you, those acoustics in that living room. So we've talked about anything from love languages to our coming out stories to how we met to queer representation. So we have about 7 episodes up. So we're really loving it. We're having a really great time. Chris is a really big Instagram influencer. He's about like 70,000 something followers or whatever. Woo. Yeah, him, his sister, and their clothing line. So that's been really helping us with our platform and getting out to people. And so we take questions, kind of like y'all do. We take what we call questions for the queers, which is an advice corner that we do. We talk about Dom Tops, which is our deep. Oh no, what is it? It's an acronym I made up and now I can't remember it. Deep or. No, destruct. I can't remember. It's been a long day. But it's Dom Tops, and it's like these topics that are really demoralizing and important that we need to talk about. So last week we talked about abortions. And then we go into a deep dive about deeper conversations, which is usually what our episodes are about. So Queer for It, check us out. We're on all the things, Instagram, Twitter, the website, Facebook.
What was the URL again?
Queerforit.com.
Queerforit.com.
Yeah, queerforit.com.
Awesome.
Look how happy. But yeah, Chris, me, and Courtney. So yeah, we've had a really great time. There's never a dull moment. Sometimes we get off topic just because we're at my house and it's just us hanging out. We forget that we're recording. And so Courtney's girlfriend, Kristen, will come and keep us on topic, which is so fun. So thank you, Kristen, who's our behind-the-scenes manager most of the days. But yeah, we've really loved it. As you can see, we try to really touch on different identities, me being Black, Christina being Hispanic, Chris being trans, and Courtney being twins and owning this clothing line. And, you know, Courtney's a white girl with dreads, so she gets a lot of flack for that. And so her just talking about why she made that decision and how those conversations come up. And so just us really growing and loving and learning, and it's been great. I could cry about it. I'm not going to right now, though. But
later, save it for later.
Yeah, I'm going to cry when I'm going to get pizza for dinner, because I'm totally getting pizza for dinner now. But yeah, it's been really great, and I've really loved it, and we've really touched lives. We started it because we learned that we are in Austin having conversations, but like you, we have people all over the country who don't have anyone, who don't have community or people to talk to, and so we just give space for them to kind of contact us. And, you know, we tell people the minute you listen to our first episodes, you're automatically friends with us. So feel free to send us an email. You can slide into our DMs, you lovely queer folk, to talk to us about any and everything. So yeah.
That's amazing. I mean, isn't it wonderful though? Just like these people call and you get to connect with them, and it feels so good.
So nice. We had like the emails we get. We got one email from a mom who she's like, her header was like straightest mom ever, and she sent us an email like, she's like, I listened to your podcast because my kid is. She's like, he's gay, but he's also trans, and he's really figuring things out. And she's like, it's just giving me a chance to sit back and listen and not have to know that I don't have to have every answer. And I'm like, not going to cry. But it was just really touching. Or like we had a trans man who messaged us. I was talking about how now he kind of feels bad sometimes because his wife is married to him. So, like, his identity is always the one in the forefront. And so he was like, how do you make sure I'm still giving her space and letting her have a chance to shine? It's not always about me. And so I'm like, you sweet people make me believe in love that maybe one day I'll find it. So it's just so beautiful and so touching. And I think that's a really great thing about any sort of marginalized communities. Like, once we find family, we are in. Like, there's just nothing like that sense of community and love and, you know, appreciation and admiration and connection. So
it's beautiful.
It's so great. I'm not going to cry today. It took me too long to get ready today, so I'm not going to cry.
So if you are queer and want to try to make Bri cry,
just send me a sweet little message.
Or send her a message. Slide into her DM.
Only if you're queer.
Right.
Yeah. Or a woman, I will allow. Cis men who are just trying to hit on me, it's not happening. I'm really sorry these days, but I got back on the dating apps, which I hate. I'm not a person who can do a phone. I haven't had my phone in like 2 hours, and I've never been happier. I was raised. My parents are 25 when they had me, so I was raised really like here, always making eye contact, always talking to people and face to face. And so now people who just like say the most obnoxious things behind a phone screen, I'm like, you don't even know me. A guy messaged me last week. He was like, nice smile. I'm like, oh my God, thank you. He goes, nice tits. I'm like, and we're out. I know they're great. I don't need you to tell me, but you're now never going to see them. Goodbye.
Yeah. And you started off so well.
So well, but I'm just try a different route. That's my advice today to anyone. Don't automatically go with you're going to hit on me and we're going to sleep together, because we're not.
Yeah.
Never think we are. If I'm interested, I'll let you know.
And try to examine, like, before you start, what cliches you're about to jump into.
Yeah,
and then maybe
you're already starting at a negative with me.
Right.
You're already -4. Like, you're not even on the field yet. So please tread lightly. Ugh. But I am single, so that's my little. Every time we do a show, I'm like,
hey,
here she is.
Hit her up. Hit her up, queer folk. All right, we got another call on the line. So we have Jordan in Texas. Let's see if we can help you out. Jordan, you're on the line.
Hi, Sarah. Hi, Bri.
Hi, Jordan. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Having a good time?
Pretty good. Yeah, doing well. Thank you.
You're having a good time.
Yeah. So far, so good.
So, I don't know if I need advice or maybe just encouragement, but my question is kind of, I identify as queer, and I have for a while, but I am a cis woman, and I've definitely noticed I tend to prefer other women and non-binary folks more than I like mostly just cis men. But
Speaking
and
my
that's
language.
fine.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's fine, but I do this thing I'm noticing a lot where I'm kind of hitting dating apps. You were just talking about them.
Mm-hmm.
They're terrible, terrible things.
Thank you.
I've been hitting them kind of hard, and at first I'll be like, no, I'm just gonna look at, because you can really only choose women or men on them. I'm just gonna look at women, and then I break down, and I'm like, maybe it wouldn't be so bad to see a guy, and then my inbox is just flooded with hot dogs, and but it makes me feel gross. Like, why do I do this to myself? Why? I mean, am I actually a lesbian and I'm just not accepting it, or am I just desperate for love and attention, and so I compromise my own sense of safe and healthy boundaries in order to, get it, even if it's just by sleeping with people of a gender I'm not super attracted to? I didn't know if y'all could help me have any insight into that.
Sure. First of all, speaking my language, so I already feel you a lot. I haven't slept with a cis man in 3 years, and I haven't missed it, if that's any sort of help. But I always like to tell people that, like, sexuality is fluid. Like, you sleeping with whoever you're sleeping with isn't wrong. So I don't want you to feel like you sleeping with a man is negating your queer experience at all. As a person, myself, like, I understand, like, that turning the men setting back on, because trans people and non-binary people don't automatically show up under the female identity on those dating apps. So I also want to give you some grace around that too, of being like, it's okay to have all these settings open, and knowing that sometimes these people who you don't want to sleep with are going to slide in. But I think you can set that healthy boundary, like you were saying, if you want to be like, hey, thank you, but no thank you. I also think that as a society, we've really learned, which I hate, but a lot of people ghost versus just being like, hey, I'm here looking for something else, but thank you. But I really want to, encourage you to let you know that it is totally okay to go and sleep with whatever gender identity is there. Or janitor. That's an admirable career. Yeah. or whatever gender you sleep with that day. Yeah, I mean, sex is great. I only have it like once a year, but I mean, from what I hear, it's still great. So just go out there and, like you were just saying to the last caller, it's okay to like figure things out and not have those answers, but I would never encourage you to like get down on yourself for not knowing 100% what you're interested in. Because I mean, life's always changing, we're always changing, and it's okay to, like I said, like one thing one day and like something completely different another.
I guess it's just that I'm approaching 30, so I kind of feel like, okay, at 30 you have to be a real adult and know like where you stand on these things, and not for everyone else.
I am knocking on 30 and I have nothing figured out. So that's also a societal pressure too, because I feel like especially like men don't get this kind of pressure. I also think it's the thing of, for a long time, it was, especially for a woman, it's like, if you don't have a family by this time, then you're not doing something right. And I'm like, yeah, I never want to have kids, and I'm doing just fine. So, I mean, it's this thing of like, don't add any more pressure to your life that you do not have to. Also, life's too short. I think the only thing in life we have to do is be happy. Be happy and do no harm to other people. So if you can do that on this journey for yourself, I feel like you'll be just fine. I hope that's helpful.
I guess what I would ask...
I'm making myself unhappy.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
Going out with these men, and it's very unsatisfying, but it's, sexual connection, and so technically that's what I'm after, but I'm also kind of thinking maybe that's not just what I'm after, and I'm not admitting that. I just go after it because it's easy.
Sure.
It's very easy. And, rather than, I don't know, waiting for something that's more fulfilling or what. Basically, I feel crappy about myself for doing things the way I'm doing them. And I don't really know how to change it.
Okay, so, I mean, two things immediately come to mind. Like, that feeling of shame that you seem to be describing of participating in sex with these men could be coming from a place of feeling not authentic to yourself, or it could also just be coming from like a feeling that you shouldn't be doing it. That's being put onto you from external sources, cultural, or just this sense that the identity that you want should restrict you from these things. You would want to try to explore that, I think, before anything. But I just want to say that inherently there's not something wrong with just getting with someone because you have a sex drive that you want to fulfill with sex. That's not wrong. It's not a self-betrayal in any inherent way. And you can still, seek out things that you want otherwise. You can seek out relationships that fit you better. And while you're doing that, if you have a sex drive that's saying, hey, get me some dick now or something like that, then you can also do that. And, if that's something that you can accept with yourself, it doesn't necessarily have to feel bad. It doesn't necessarily have to feel like you are, in any way being untrue to yourself. Because you're being true to a part of you that is important, that says, give me the sex. And for a lot of people, that is a very powerful voice. And there's nothing wrong with listening to it, Yeah.
I also think that, as women, we were taught for so long to shame sex. So I'm a big believer in just like going out there and doing what you're going to do, like you were just saying. So, I mean, I guess our main thing is just have some grace with yourself and know that it's okay to do things that, and even if just in that moment it makes you happy, let that make you happy. And then, like you were saying, take that time to really discover what it is you want long term. But I don't think that, you doing these things are making you a bad person or you settling or you any of that kind of shame speak. I think it's just you trying to figure out what you want in your life.
And it's okay to figure it out. It's okay to not know. Yeah, that's just it's a stage. It's a place that you're at. And it's okay to be where you're at no matter what age,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fair. I've got a lot of my issues to work with on the whole almost 30 thing, but
30 is just a number.
All right.
Let me tell you, my sister's 2 years older than me. She's and she recently ended a relationship. Don't tell her I told you. But that was her biggest thing too. They had been together.
We'll never tell anyone.
Yeah, that's fine. She had been with her partner for 6 years, and so now she's 32, and she has to start all over. And so we had a really big conversation. She's like, I just expected my life to look like one thing, and now I just have to really figure out what's going to look like instead. It doesn't mean it's a bad life. It's just different than I thought it was going to be. So that's my advice to my sister. She's smart. We'll let her have it.
Well, thank y'all.
You're very welcome. Thank you for calling.
Yeah, I really appreciate your call.
Y'all have a good night, okay?
Absolutely, you too.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. That was nice.
I felt myself in that call. It's like, what do I want to hear from me right now? What advice did I want at that time? So, I get that. I get that a lot.
Do you feel like you fulfilled that you...
Listen, I told you, the 2019, shoot your shot. If there's someone you're interested in, just do it. I've been trying to shoot my shot with this one guy for a while, so we'll see how this goes.
Oh, yeah? Okay, if you're out there listening, she's great. You should go for it.
He knows. We had breakfast a couple weeks ago, so we're treading lightly right now.
Nice.
Just seeing how things go. But also it's summer, so hit your girl up. I'm serious. So yeah.
It's almost Pride Month, so you got a limited window.
Here. And your girl will be around. So, but yeah, it's like I said, my biggest, to quote Beyonce, my ambition in life is to be happy. Mm-hmm. Do I have the tattoo on my body yet? Not yet, but one day. It's so important. I think it's the base of everything, like mental health, self-love, everything. It's just you have to be happy with yourself first. Because RuPaul always says, if you can't love yourself, how the hell are you going to love anybody else? So.
Wise words.
My other soapbox is just quotes all day. So inspirational quotes at the ready.
They're good quotes.
Thank you.
So you mentioned before when you came out.
Sure.
Yes, a very, very rough time.
Very rough time.
To come out as a queer young person. Mm-hmm. How would you say that things have changed since then as far as coming out and that environment?
I came out when I was 26. Mm-hmm. It was when I moved to Austin. For a long time, I knew I was attracted to women and other genders, but just didn't have the language for it. perfect
Yeah.
till I moved here. And then I dated the first girl I dated, and she was lovely. We actually grew up we grew up in Connecticut, 2 towns apart, so I
nice.
had known her for a while. Dated her for a while, dated someone else for a while, and then dated another woman for a while. Your girl's out here. So with me, coming out was living my most authentic life. I moved here for just a fresh start. I just wanted to move somewhere different. I was born and raised in Connecticut. My best friend, who I've known since I was 12, he was the first person I came out to. He is gay, and he said he's known since I was 12. And I was like, well, thank you.
You could have
That
said.
would have saved me a whole lot of time.
Jeez.
Thank you. So yeah, just moving here to a super liberal place that was very queer, very accepting, and giving me a space to start new. And just really I work in nonprofit, so very liberal space nonprofit always. So it was just me. When it came out, it was right after the Pulse shootings. And I realized I was lying to myself, but most importantly, I was lying to the people around me. So between my best friend and my sister, those are the first people I came out to. And coming from a very religious family, I was nervous. But then, my family was like, we love you. We don't really care who you date. Just find someone who treats you well, which I was like, I've been pressuring myself for 26 years. Thank you. And so, really figuring those things out. And then being queer has really caused me to question my religion. I grew up in a church. My godfather's a pastor. And it was a Baptist church in the north, so a little different. And I have an uncle who's very anti-gay. So for me, it was just me living my most authentic self and knowing I don't owe anyone anything. But then knowing that if there is something else out there after this, then I can only do the best that I can here. I felt for me a long time religion for me was very suffocating, and I never really understood it. And so for me, I identify as spiritual now. I feel like there's other things at work. I do read tarot and meditate and do all the kind of bruja stuff. I'm from a Creole family, and so I've seen spirits and talked to them my whole life. And so for me, I see it as a gift, but a lot of my family being so religious, it was a curse. And so I didn't realize it till I moved here and started really tapping into that. So aside from just, religion stuff and being queer and now this new identity with myself, it's really been a great journey. I've been really fortunate and lucky to have such loving and supportive people, which I think is what got me to work at OutYouth, to be there for those youth who maybe don't have the same experience. And just also me being Black and gay. Having youth who really don't see themselves or know what that means, because I didn't know what, I guess I'd be the best description of myself is pan, because I don't see gender when I date. But, letting kids know that language exists, having those conversations, knowing that you don't have to have a word for it. Using queer is just fine if that's the word you want to use for your identity. And yeah, just really learning to love and accept myself through the journey of not knowing the answers to everything. So that's been Bri.
It's pretty amazing.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you.
All right. I think we've got time for one more call. You think we can take one? Yeah. All right. Looks like you're coming in here. We've got Taylor from North Carolina. Let's get you on here. Taylor, you are on with Secular Sexuality.
Hey, how are you guys doing?
Hey, doing all right.
Good.
How is it for you?
Good. Yeah, I just had a question. I was raised very hardcore Christian, and so they were very anti LGBTQ and all that. And, pretty recently, within I'd say the last 1-2 years, I've started to really, learn more about it and realize that, well, it's not really a bad thing, but I have a really hard problem going to someone like that and just asking them about it. And I'm wondering, what are good ways to learn more about it and ask people and try and understand it more?
I can turn to you.
Okay. We were just talking about this. I was raised very religious. And so moving here, living in Texas, and I went to a rally my first year living here, and it was during Pride. It was just giving space, and there was a Pride performance. And a guy there who was not there for the rally started quoting Bible scripture during the rally. And so me being me, raised on the Bible her whole life, starts reciting other scripture. And I'm like, the Bible is a very interesting piece of text to dissect. There's a lot of stuff left out of that. And so for me, it's just always giving people who were raised really religious, like, this isn't solid. It's like a map. It's like teaching you how to be the best person you can be. But also realizing that like these texts weren't written by the person who we believe in. So that was a really big thing for me when I first started coming out, because I am queer. So it was really me struggling with my religion and my sexual orientation. So for you, who's really trying to, sounds like you're trying to move more into a place of understanding, maybe eventually being an ally, I think if you go in honestly and let people know, like, hey, I just want to learn more. I want to open up conversation. I want to grow as a person. I want to know what I can learn. My dad always says, when you're the smartest person in the room, find a new room. So I think you're in a really great place of growth and exploration and conversation, and a place to really make some really good relationships and have some really good stuff to talk about. I think this is great to just not let something we've been raised on for so long that has like really structured our lives keep us from being human. I think that's a lot of things that sometimes we can hide behind, is our Christianity or our sexuality or who we hang out with. And it's like, if you let down that wall of like what you quote unquote should be doing, it leads you to so many more beautiful things and opportunities. I hope that's helpful.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to jump in, like, to just, self-study as well. There's all sorts of resources online, and, there's shows like this one. You can go back through our archives. There's, a podcast that I think we heard about, something queer.
Queer for it. Oh, yeah.
Something. Yeah. That you can tune into. There's the more publicly the Savage Love podcast. And various shows. And you can just, websites to, hear about people's experiences, instead of, if it's difficult for you to approach people and ask people about things, you can start out by giving yourself a broader base to start from, where you have some knowledge that you just need to sort of set to personal experiences. By doing that, giving yourself that exposure, and I think it's a good start. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah. I just wanted to hear you guys' opinion on it, and I really appreciate it.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Anytime. And yeah, if you have, as you go along this journey, please, call us back and let us know things that you're discovering and that, you want to know about, ask about. Love to be here for you.
I definitely will. I really appreciate it, guys.
Well, thanks, Taylor.
Thank you, Taylor.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye.
Have a good night. Bye-bye. That was nice.
It was lovely.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. This has been so lovely.
It's lovely. It's lovely having you on, and you've been an amazing guest.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Is there anything else you want to talk about or plug before we go out?
Not that I can think of. I mean, OutYouth, outyouth.org for LGBT youth and young adults. Austin Black Pride. Austin Pride, if you're in Austin, there's a bunch of stuff coming up. It's Pride Month, so get out there and celebrate people.
All sorts of stuff.
All sorts of stuff. And then my podcast, Queer for It, if you haven't gotten enough of my voice this week. And we drop every other week usually. But we have about 7 or 8 episodes up right now. We're a little less organized than y'all over here at this well-oiled machine. So, we're
a nice place.
Yeah. But yeah, that's all of my stuff right now. My personal website is Brianna, Briona, Jenkins.com. And yeah, girls just here trying to make the world a little bit better.
Sounds like you're doing a good job of it.
Oh, thank you.
All right. Well, thank you very much for being on our show. And thank you all for watching. Thank you for calling in. If you want to continue the conversation with us, please drop us an email at sex@atheist-community.org, and we'd be happy to hear from you and maybe even write back if we're not too busy, So until next time, I'll send us out with the words of our famous creator of the podcast, Daryl Ray. whatever you're doing today, or, well, this evening, I hope that you find a little bit of time to go home and if you feel like it, give yourself a nice orgasm or maybe give someone else one. Thank you.